Anyway, I went through the whole process of starting a bank account on behalf of Lieberland, and they're like, it's not going to work. And I'm like, I know. So they sent me $15,000 in Bitcoin, and one of their contacts on the ground changed it over to US dollars. And suddenly
There you
I
go.
had, yeah.
So you had a fixer.
Yeah, I did. Shout
At
out.
what point does the Chinese guy roll in?
Yeah. So, I had met this guy, like a sort of German NGO guy. Perfect example of like somebody who's like, they dedicated their life to like aid, to making one small aspect of the world a little bit better. Just a really genteel old German guy named Hans, and he was like, "What are you doing in
What
Somaliland?"
was he doing between the years of 1939 and 1945?
Obeying orders. Sorry, Hans. Hans, you're a lovely person, and you only
Trying
did
to
right
make
by
up
me.
for
So I was like, Hans, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I'm working on the prosopis. I'm like, what's the prosopis? He's like, oh, it's the mesquite bush. I'm like, what? And he's like, I'm trying to stop the invasive species of the mesquite bush in the Horn of Africa. I'm like, how long have you been doing this? He's like, 10 years. I'm like, so
Nice.
and he's right. Like it's a massively invasive species that is a thorny bush at the time that it's young, and a lot of the wealth in Somaliland is kept in livestock. The livestock eat the thorny bush and then they die. Like that's a huge drain on resources in a pastoralist economy. And I'm like, dude, way to go, Hans. You're just like launching your one-man crusade against the damn mesquite bush. Way to do some good in the world. But anyway, he invited me over to his house for tea one night. And he's like, I've got some friends coming over. I think you should meet them. I'm like, cool. He sounds like Werner Herzog. Somaliland. And so in walks these two Somali guys and a Chinese guy. And mind you, it's during Ramadan, and so I'm fasting for Ramadan. You know, just as a part
you
of.
were?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Just
You don't look like you fast a lot.
no, I don't. I know. Got to start again. So I'm fasting for Ramadan, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna meet these guys, and we're gonna have tea, and you know, that's fine. And so we all sit down, and the Chinese guy is pretty hammered already. And
Like sake bombs and stuff?
I think it was Ethiopian gin.
Right.
And alcohol is illegal in Somaliland.
illegal?
Yeah.
Wow.
You can chew khat, which is a local narcotic.
Right, we
but,
talked about that
yeah,
last
you
time.
can't drink booze. But he is apparently, I mean, he's identified himself to me as the Chinese ambassador to Somaliland. Great. I explain my situation as the Lieberland ambassador to Somaliland. And suddenly things change a lot between him and me because he just starts promising me the sun and the moon. And he's like, we're going to make you the president of Lieberland one day. And I'm like,
Oh, he's trying to turn you.
I'm like,
Right.
you just heard about Lieberland.
Yeah.
And I just heard about Lieberland. I don't think you understand what's going on here. And meanwhile, he's just like tea is off the table, and he's like, we're drinking Ethiopian gin, boys. And so, yeah, a long and pretty intense night ensues after that.
Did you ever see him again?
No, I never did. Yeah.
All right, that's good. So he didn't turn you.
Nope.
You didn't become a Chinese agent.
Yeah, not yet anyway. Still
But
unemployed.
But hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Now you're trying to start your own country.
Well,
So did that?
you know,
You can tell me.
Hold
No
on.
one
Hold on.
listening. Did he
Actually,
turn you?
I should say something. So this is in the book, but it bears on what we were talking about earlier. Everybody been fasting. Ethiopian gin comes out.
Not good.
Oh yeah, and you know, been dry as a bone for weeks, and then the gin comes out, and you know, I'm not gonna let all of these guys drink alone. And you know, we're just hanging out in poor Hans's like sitting room, like, you know, just ripping through packs of Chinese cigarettes and drinking Ethiopian gin.
Is there any air conditioning?
I don't know. I doubt it. I don't remember.
So it's just like
Yeah.
90 degrees in
Dank,
there.
yeah.
You're ripping everyone. You're with a German. He's probably not wearing deodorant. You're just ripping Ethiopian shots.
And things start to get a little spicy.
Oh, man.
So there's this big dude, and for some reason he doesn't trust me. And I'm like, he's like, he just keeps being, he has an English accent because he had like spent some time in London. And the weird part about this was like, I was sort of explaining my very confusing like backstory to him, and he kept making me explain it over and over again. And he's like, wait, you were living in Albania? Why? I'm like, no, because I was a Peace Corps volunteer, and like, yeah,
Don't worry about it.
yeah. And then he says, ciao bon, which is a northern way of saying hello or what's up in the Albanian language. And I'm like, why do you know like a northern greeting in Albania? And he was like, well, I was doing business with Albanians in London. And I'm like, okay, this is potentially a weird moment, and I can understand maybe why you're not trusting me the most right now. And you probably think that I'm some sort of like, I don't know, US government asset. Either way, things were pretty frosty between me and him.
You're not strapped either, right?
Oh God, no. I'm just.
You got a knife?
Hammered? No. I did. Well, another time. The wheels start to fall off the conversation at one point, and the larger gentleman, Abdullah, that's what I call him in the book. He starts to get a bit more aggressive as the Chinese guy starts talking shit about Hans. And he's like, the Chinese guy is like, look, all of these things are being brought to you by China. We do X, Y, and Z in this country. And hey, you've been working here for how many years? And the mesquite bush is still around, Hans. And Hans is like, oh, yeah, no, we're working on it. And then Abdullah just kind of loses it, and he's like, no, man, this is exact words. You're trying to fuck Somaliland without a condom. And he's like, do we work for you, or do you work with us?
Ooh.
You just want to take from Somaliland. So do we work for you, or do you work with us? And I was like, I mean, I kind of want to get in on this action. And that was the djinn talking. And I was like, yeah, he was calling himself David. I was like, yeah, David, do you work with Xi Jinping or for Xi Jinping? And he's like, I don't understand the question. I'm like, no, do you work with Xi Jinping or do you work for Xi Jinping? And he's like, oh, I don't understand. Lots of hand waving. Anyway, the room gets tense as shit at this point. And I can see that Hans just really wants us all to get the fuck out of his house.
Yeah.
And
Hans is having a tough day.
Obvious reasons. And the big dude
It's just feeling like the Inglourious Basterds basement scene. It's starting to get there.
It gets worse. I don't know if I told you this one before.
No.
So Abdullah is he keeps making me like tell him my backstory again and again. And I'm like, dude, I told you. And also, I don't know what you think I am, but I'm not powerful and influential in any way. I have an empty mansion across the street that is the embassy of a new country. I'm telling you everything.
Somehow I'm the ambassador of in this country, Somaliland.
And I'm like, look,
Totally
I will
innocent.
prove it to you. Come across the street and look at my empty mansion. Also, I had an armed guard in there named Eid. So I was like, just really djinn brave. Eid was a kind man, but I don't necessarily know if he would have protected me. And so,
not with that bank account.
Right. So,
thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.